get in the game. If you're really ready, come on and take a stand and listen to Tea Time with Tan. This brew is good for you. It's deep for the mind, body and soul. It refreshes, restores and renews. Every sip is inspiration, motivation and hope to the encouragement you need to get through. The solutions are clear, your success is near. Grab paper and pen, let's go with. It's time for Tea Time with Tan.
Inspiration, motivation, and encouragement is brewing. Welcome to the Tea Time with Tan podcast, where you experience innovative solutions and creative ideas designed for your colossal dream success. Let's sip. Here's your host, Tan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tea Time with Tan podcast show. I'm your host, Tan Tate, the certified life coach, aka the Hope Coach. And for us, HOPE is also an acronym for helping others prevail every day. So excited to have you here listening wherever you're at to inspiration, motivation, encouragement, and hope. It's tea that's good for the mind, body, and soul. Yes, it is. Somewhere it's tea time. And listen, tea is always better when it's served for two. So invite someone in to listen to the podcast with you. Share it. Sharing is caring. Spread the hope. Share the tea. Now, we always begin with what I like to call a get it together moment. Because sometimes we have to get it together to be able to receive what it is we need to hear and receive. So I'm going to give you about 60 seconds. Go gather your get it together journal. Get your mind clear. Get into a safe space. Maybe do a few breathing exercises. In and out, in and out. Clear the mind. Enjoy my theme music, and we'll be back in 60 seconds or less. See you on the other side of the break. All right, and we're back. Listen, I know you may say that was the quickest 60 seconds I've ever seen. Sometimes it be like that. I want to welcome any first-time listeners that we have to the Tea Time with podcast show. I want to welcome the listeners that are listening in the country of India, over in the United Kingdom. Thank you. And all around the United States, El Paso, Houston, South Carolina, North Carolina, Washington, wherever you may be sipping the tea, we are excited to have you here with us. Listen, it is my hope, it is my goal to help you prevail every day. Today, I want to be a deposit of hope. I want to provide you some tea that's going to help refresh, restore, and renew. So let's get into this week's episode. This week, we are going to be talking about the thick of it. The thick of it. Now, only you and God may know what that it in the thick of it is, but we're going to be talking about when we find ourselves in the thick of it. Now, It could be depression. It could be sadness. It could be sickness. It could be relationship issues. It could be situationships. It could be a variety of things that you have found yourself in the thick of it. It could be a winter storm and you don't have electricity. You don't have water. You don't have food. You don't have hope. You are in the thick of it. Listen, life has a way of showing up. And when it shows up, sometimes it can be a Hurricane 5. It can be a tornado. It can be a windstorm. It can be a winter storm. You can find yourself frozen. You can find yourself at a loss because you are in the thick of it. So I want to provide you with some recommended tips, things to do when you find yourself in the thick of it. First, become more optimistic. And you may be saying, you don't know what my it is. There is no optimism in what I'm going through. And I want to remind you of what Isaiah 43:2 says. And I'm going to paraphrase it for you. It says, even though you find yourself in the rivers and the waters and they overwhelm you, they overtake you, you will not drown. Even though you find yourself in the middle of a fire, you will not be burned. You will not be scorched, for God is with you. So in your it, even though it may not look like it, God is with you. And he wrote that word in Isaiah 43:2 for a specific purpose, because he knew we would find ourselves in the thick of it. And he wanted to assure us that he got us. So even in the thick of it, even when it don't look like it, God got you. Becoming more optimistic. That's the first step. And that means you may have to see things through a different lens. Sometimes our anger gets the best of us and we're like, oh no, I can't believe this is happening because somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do. This was not supposed to be this way. Don't let your anger or disappointment control the victory that's across the finish line. Don't be distracted by your anger or your disappointment. Know that there is a victory across the finish line. So you may have to start self-talking to yourself, saying to yourself, listen, Tam, you're going to get through this. You remember when such and such happened and you thought that was the end, but you got through that? The same God that got you through that is going to get you through this. Yes, I know it don't feel like it right now, but girl, get it together because we are victorious. See, we can't control a lot of things, but we can control our mind. You have the right to speak to your mind. Tell it what you want to think. Tell it to get it together. Tell it that no, not today. We're not going down that road. No, not today. I'm not thinking those thoughts. I'm going to think on what I know to be good and what I know to be true. And sometimes that's just whatever your favorite scripture is. We all have them. We all have a favorite scripture. So go to your favorite scripture and turn that scripture into an affirmation. Like I was talking about Isaiah 43:2. So you may begin to say, I will not drown in this it. In the thick of it, I will not drown. I will not burn in the thick of it. God is for me. Who or what can be against me? My circumstances don't determine the outcome. My God is in control. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but let me tell you something. Love is not love until that relationship become rocky. It's not about that mushy feeling. It's not about that butterflies in your stomach. You know, that don't make love. That's just a benefit of love. Love shows up when you're in the thick of it. And you have to make that decision. Do I stay in this relationship? Do I leave this relationship? Do I forgive? Or what? You know, the what. You know your story. You know your journey. But what I'm trying to get you to see and understand is that it's not love until you're in the thick of it. Your faith is not faith until you're in the thick of it. Then it has to be activated. See, whenever God does something, it needs to have, something to point to. It needs to be able to say, oh, I went through this, but I came out on the other side like this. Had it not been for this, I would not be this. So start seeing the thick of it as a purpose activator. Because I am in the thick of it, my purpose is going to be activated. Because I am in the thick of it, I am becoming more creative. I am becoming an innovator. Because I am in the thick of it. So I thank you, thick of it. Whatever that it is, I thank you. Because of it, I am now this. For me, one of my thick of it was, of course, when my daughter was killed. That is the most worst, unimaginable storm anyone can go through, to lose your child. But today I sit here and I'm encouraging you in whatever you're going through. I'm telling you to face that depression, face that sadness, face that disappointment, face that sickness, and speak to it and say, you won't drown me, depression. You won't drown me, sadness. You won't burn me, sickness. Because God is with me. God is for me. God is greater. Now, I know I started out counting one, but I got sidetracked, y'all. Sometimes this is what a hope will do for you. It'll get you stirred up. It'll stir up what needs to be stirred up so you can fight on, so you can press on, so you can hope on, so you can live on in the thick of it. In the thick of it, in the thick of a divorce, in the thick of death, in the thick of sadness, in the thick of mental breakdowns, in the thick of emotional breakdowns, you can still be optimistic. You can still have hope. You can still activate your faith, and you can still know that you will not drown, you will not burn. We have a way maker. We have a promise keeper. We have light in the darkness. Activate it. Activate your optimism today. Activate it. If you have to stand in the mirror and tell yourself the strengths that you possess, because you have them. Your attitude. Let your attitude guide your optimism, because you were created to win. You were created to win. You got this. You got this. Say it with me. I will not drown. I will not burn. I am victorious. I am optimistic. I can see the victory. I can touch the victory. I am victorious. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Tea Time with Tan podcast show. And listen, get connected with me. Connect on my social media. Tea Time with Tan, the Hope Coach. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. At the Hope Coach. Whatever you do, get connected to hope, because hope is here. You are victorious. Stay tuned for the next week episode of the Tea Time with Tan podcast show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing and spreading the hope. See you later.